based in Lagos. FPL Meets is a community-based organization in 30 cities around the world. I'm the team lead for Lagos and also founder of PradSocial. I was able to collaborate with a few popular leagues that make things tick. I'm glad we have some members and representatives here. We'll be having this FPL Meets session, having conversations about FPL strategies for the new season, and of course, some people will give us some expo on how we can climb up the leaderboard. As some of you know, Nigeria is the third largest, as of last season, Nigeria had the third largest number of participants all over the world. That says something. We can actually strive to be number 2, behind, is it England? Okay, behind Egypt then England. Okay guys, so on that note, once again, I'd like to welcome you guys to FPL Meets Lagos. I would definitely not be doing this alone. I would be inviting a few people to come join me so we can have a conversation with regards to FPL. We'll ask a few questions. Some of you have asked and sent your questions, and I'm glad I have some gurus in the house to answer the question. We're actually streaming live to quite a number of people on YouTube. The link has been shared on social media, so feel free to interact with them. I'll also be taking questions if you tag us online at PradSocial. Thank you. Okay, on that note, I'd like to welcome my very first member of the panel, Achike, aka 042 FPL All-Stars. Please come and join me. Thank you very much. We're going to go straight to the point. We're going to talk about, briefly in 2-3 minutes per person, what are your strategies for this season? What are the things you look forward to in this new season that you think you will change compared to what you did last season? So I think I'll start from the lady.
So this season, I think, or I know that I'm obviously not going to be making stupid transfers like I was doing last season. So that means saving all my -4 points, because that was my red flags last season. And I'm also, because we have unlimited transfers at least during the World Cup period, so I know that this season I'm going to be maximizing on those options. At the same time, I'm not keen on differentials because they have never worked for me. So I'm not picking any differential, I'm just going straight with my gut and focusing solely on the stats. Because stats is obviously with FPL, I've noticed works better than eye test. So stats for me, no unnecessary transfers, and going with my gut.
For me, at least I will have 3 premium players. Then I'll be backing them up with enablers, right? Midfield is going to be my priority. This season it looks like we're going to be having strikers coming back to play in FPL. The likes of Gabriel Jesus, Alan, Harry Kane. This will be my focus. Then for defense, I'll stick with just TA and Cancelo, then we'll rotate the others.
Hello guys. Okay, so usually my default formation is 3-4-3, maximize the strikers and all that. But this year, I think I'm only going to go for 2 strikers, 2 premium strikers, be it Kane and Haaland or that and the other. I think about the differential thing, you see, players that end up being sure bankers often start us as differentials. Bowen started out as a differential, but he ended up being almost a must-have last season. So I'm looking at a few of those kind of players where I think they're going to be a mainstay in their team.
So these guys have actually stolen everything, every striker. So I'm going to go for 5 midfielders and 2 premium strikers, and then there's going to be a 3rd striker that is just going to be on the bench. But I want to make sure that all my players play. So having all those bench that nobody can come on and they're always going to give you 0, that's going to be out this season. So it's definitely going to be focus on the midfield that can give you maximum points, because of course midfielders get more points when they score, assist, extra 1 point for clean sheets. And then have my 2 premium strikers, and then maybe a Nottingham Forest striker as the 3rd guy that just always going to be on the bench for me.
So I think what I want to do is, for the first 5 matches, I want to really attack it as many premiums as possible. the likes of Achike, likes of Salah always, and maybe a son, right? I want to attack it. So that's my plan for this season. And I also think that, I mean, I'm not fixed with any formation actually. I mean, the idea of FPL is for you to be very flexible. I mean, you can have a 3-4-3 or 5 at the back. It just really depends on the players on form at the moment. I think for now, what my strategy is just to attack the first 5 fixtures. I mean, because of the fact that we have an additional wild card. I mean, if things are going wrong, they just hit the wild card button and reset. So that's my plan.
So that being said, let me start this way. Seun, back to you. Do you think you would most likely, if you have a bad game week in the first 2 game weeks, do you think you'd have a wild card deployed?
Next 5 game weeks at least, before I start thinking about playing wild card. So the plan is after game week 1, you can just bank your transfer so that by game week 3, you can hit a mini wild card by just taking a -4 or something. Then you can just take the players and perform and stuff like that. But I think personally, I don't think that playing the wild card early enough is. I mean, you need to wait for some game weeks before you make that decision. So yeah, for me, I don't think I'm going to be playing the wild card by game week 2.
Interesting.
Well, I've seen people play wild card after game week 1, and I'm wondering, dude, nothing has happened. I mean, Bruno scored a hat-trick the first day, I think last season, and then we all know what happened, since then. But definitely, you pick your team because that's the whole point, right? You pick the team that you feel can give you the best possible chance in the beginning. Obviously, things may not work out by the end of August, right? And then that's when you can start thinking about that. Like you said, 5-6 game weeks, but definitely not after game week 2.
I'm usually a very, very conservative wildcard user, but this year that's actually going to change. Maybe not game week 2, but I think I would definitely by game week 4, 5 have used the wildcard. Because this season, we can technically overhaul our team 4 times. You've got the first wildcard, you've got the World Cup unlimited transfers, you've got the second wildcard, and you have a free hit. So this is the first time where basically every 9 game weeks, you can change your team. So my thinking, I'm usually that guy who leaves his wildcard till like game week 18. But this year, I think it might be a little bit different because of these options, because there's a lot to play with. Also rotations, players that are trying to take it easy for the World Cup, there's a lot to go about. So I'm gonna be a bit more happy and loose with my wildcard this year.
Definitely not using an early wildcard. And personally, I think you're serious if you're using your wildcard in game week 2. Like, you should, now is your time. You should be thinking like 6 game weeks ahead. You should be planning ahead. It's called forward thinking. You can't be using your wildcard in the second game week. I mean, what are you thinking? So I'm not going to do that. Rather, I would wait at least 6 weeks. That's my list. 6 weeks, then try to see, like you said, if there are injuries or if there's a reason to use it in 6 weeks, then I would use it in 6 weeks. Other than that, I'm not using my wildcard early.
You can help me out. What exactly is this FPL that you guys are talking about? Because I've been asked that question. I've tried to define. I just said I'm on a virtual something, that kind of thing. So who can actually help us to tell people watching what Fancy Premier League is all about? In a summary, I mean, there are no wrong answers.
For me, FPL is fun. Anything you want to do, make sure you enjoy yourself. I love watching football. FPL helps me watch matches like Aston Villa versus West Ham because I have a player in the team that I want to watch. I want to monitor.
Can you help out?
No, I'm not help. He did fantastically right there. He just add a little bit to it because, like he said, so for example, personally, I watch an obscene amount of football. Like if there's football on television or streaming, I will watch it. And what FPL helps with that is that you always have a stake in it. There's always jeopardy involved because previously, before FPL, I mean, I've been playing FPL for many years, so I can't even remember before FPL. But before then, if I'm watching, then it would be like Oldham Athletic versus, Bradford. I had no interest whatsoever. I knew none of the 22 players. It's just there on TV, and you're just looking at it like, But when now there's jeopardy, where you have a player that this is Monday night, and you need him to keep a clean sheet and score 2 assists, and manage to get a red card before the 60th minute at the same time, it just gives a lot of jeopardy into watching football, and I think that increases the enjoyment of it. So it's fantastic for that. It gets you more invested in the league as a whole, as opposed to supporting the only team you support, and that's all you care about. So that's what FPL is.
Okay. So I'm going to brush through a few questions. In fact, I'm in some mini leagues of some people here, and I plan to join one tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to ask a few set of questions. We'll just answer as fast as possible. So the first thing, if you had to pick one formation all through the season, what formation would you pick?
I think there's so much value in the midfield for me. So, and the fact that you have the likes of Jesus and Oluwadamilola and under price range, I think a 3-5-2 should work for me.
3-5-2.
Yeah.
Wow.
3-5-2, no question.
3-5-2.
If it had to be one, host,
Yeah, just
3-5-2.
3-5-2.
100% 3-5-2.
3-5-2.
Definitely 3-5-2.
3-5. Second question. Premium goalkeeper or budget goalkeeper?
I'm good with a budget goalkeeper, at least 2 of them, so I can rotate in like situations of tough fixtures. Budget keeper.
Give us one you're looking at.
Ramsdale is next. His budget completely.
So I'll go budget.
I'll go premium personally because I don't like to overthink it. When I pick who I think is the keeper for the season, I don't want to think about him except injury. Now, if you've played the game and you're picking Alisson or Ederson the year before, you know they'll be in the top 3, 4, 5 keepers, and then I don't need to think. They are, to me, fixture proof. They can keep a clean sheet against the best team or against the worst team. With budget keepers, I've tried them, and I often have to think, hey, this week he has this guy, or how will it be, and all that. So premium for me for the long term.
Mine is budget. Like Ademolu said, I would rather put the 5 million, 1 million somewhere else. Budget for me is like a 4.5, 4 million. Ramsdale is 5 million. So a 4.5, Raya, Sanchez, Pickford, or no, I mean, they will give you save points, your clean sheet, because the truth is, a goalkeeper, if they score in the first minute, it's ruined already. So all I put 6 million there when, 90 seconds of madness can destroy that clean sheet. So budget for me.
I think I want to have a premium goalkeeper.
I love that name.
Name 3 players that are most likely going to be on your squad throughout the season that you probably would not transfer them out.
I'm not going to mention Salah because I'm going to sell Salah at the point this season. That I'm sure about. So I think Cancelo one, maybe Harry Kane, Cancelo, Harry Kane, and depends if I go for Trent or Robertson, one of the 2 of them. But I think I have Trent now, so yeah, Cancelo, Trent, and Harry Kane.
Gabi. Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Magalhaes.
We're real Arsenal fans.
Kayo Saka, Cancelo, and Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Salah, Cancelo, and Ramsdale. Listen to me, they are not going anywhere. They are not going anywhere. They are going to be here.
Well, we'll go to the next question. So next question, premium forwards. Haaland, Ronaldo, Kane. Which 2 are you looking at? In fact, which one should be a must-have?
Definitely Kane. Like,
Bam.
that's not even a question. Definitely Kane.
Harry Kane.
For some reason, I believe that Erling Haaland is going to tear Premiership defenses apart. I'm getting him from game week 1 simply because of the team he came to. Now, of course, depending on what Pep decides to do, because Pep is a madman, right? So Haaland for me, of course, Kane. Haaland for me.
For me, the premium fraud is 8.0. His name is Gabriel Jesus. So I don't know what.
I'm most likely to start with Kane. Until I see Haaland score the first set of goals, then I'll jump on Haaland. What midfield enablers are you looking at? So if you're playing 5 or 4 or 3, what midfielder below 5.5 are you looking at? I'll mention some. You have Andres Pereira of Fulham. You have Jos Da Silva of Brentford. You have Jack Colback of Nottingham Forest. Pedro Neto, everybody's Pedro Neto. You have Anthony Gordon, Jacob Ramsey, Wissa, and Tulise. Is there any particular one that tickles your fantasy?
There's someone in my mind that I didn't call because personally I like to have differentials. I love differentials a lot. I'm actually thinking of starting with Ademolu in Newcastle.
Wow.
I think he has really hit the ground running for Newcastle's preseason match. I think he has about 6 goals.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm looking at Ademolu. Then if I don't go Ademolu, then it's definitely Moderator because I mean the season before last season it was a fantastic player in FPL. I think everyone had him. So either I go Ademolu or Moderator, but I'm looking at Ademolu. I think I might start with Ademolu this season.
For me, the 2 guys that I think, 5.5 below, one is Joe Aribo from Southampton. He had a fantastic season with Rangers last year. Of course, a new player coming to the Premiership is going to be difficult, and you don't know what you're going to get. But I think Joe Aribo is one to look out for, and also Eze of Crystal Palace. For 5.5, he has the eye test, he has the assist. The question is whether those guys up front can finish for him. But I think Eze or Eze, they are going to fight for minutes. But for me, Eze and Aribo are 2 players to watch out for, 5.5 and below.
I have 3 players in mind. I have the 2 that I thought and then the one I picked. So Eze was one of them. Eye test, takes free kicks, does all sorts. N.E.O was another one. But my problem with N.E.O is that I somewhere in my heart believe Wolves are going to get relegated this season. So I had to put that into my thinking. My own personal 5.5, who's a differential that I didn't want to tell anyone, but we're here, so I have to. I think Dwight McNeil of Everton is going to have a fantastic season. I think he's going to supply Calvert-Lewin with lots of goals. So he's my 5.5 stroke, differential stroke. I didn't want to tell anyone, but now you brought it out of me, guy.
For me, I'll first talk about Moderator. Moderator has very high ownership right now. So the problem with people like that is if it doesn't jam in the first 3 game weeks, and we get another enabling midfielder performing, you are going to see a very high sale rate, and people like that are likely to drop 0.2, 0.3 in 1 game week. So I see him as a transfer risk if you don't leave him early and he's not performing. We all know Raul Jimenez is injured right now, and Wolves they won't score as many goals as we expect. So for me, I would advise anybody against Moderator, even though it looks like a solid midfielder, especially this preseason. I think he has scored 2 or 3 goals. So, but I won't be going for Moderator. For me, I'll be looking at, just as you have said, McNeil of Everton, because he actually, I think he has scored 5 goals in preseason, right?
I don't write that down.
So that's what I'll be looking at. Also Bailey. Bailey is also looking good, but it doesn't look like he'll be starting so many games. But I'll be tracking him. That's for me. Thank
Wonderful. Man, I'm collecting some serious notes in this place.
Well, for me, if I'm getting N.E.O, it's going to be majorly a bench player. Yeah. I'm not going to put N.E.O in like every week in, week out. So I'm going to be rotating N.E.O for sure. I also like Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, I actually really like him, but his price is just a bit 0.5. So my plan is, if I'm saving 0.5 for my keeper, then it's definitely going to him. And I like this Gray guy from Everton. So I think Everton, they have really beautiful fixtures, at least for the next 5-6 game weeks. So Gray is also somebody that I have my eye on. But right now, I would take the punt on N.E.O. He's been very good during the preseason, so I don't really see why not. For now, at least I can sell him later. But for now, N.E.O and Bruno.
Nice. For listening, I've jotted down 2 key people that I'm going to research on. Almiron and McNeil. Because me, I must stop that league. That my mini league. Okay, so guys, next question was what you make last season that you know that you will not make this season. What mistake? Do you remember any particular mistake that really pained you? It could have been maybe missing deadlines, or a wrong transfer that or you held on to a particular player too long, or something. Do you remember anything that actually messed you up for a few game weeks?
Last season, it was unnecessary transfers. last season, I've been playing FPL for almost 8 years now. And last season was my worst season ever. By worst, I mean I still topped some leagues, but it was still very terrible. But I think a mistake was when Son and Kane, when they had that period, I did not have any of them. So that really brought me down a lot. So now I've realized that it's just better to have like maximum ownership, or what do you call it? Like when many people own a player, it has more pros than cons. So I would rather have Son and follow the multitude than try to go the differential way. No, not doing that this season. Another thing is I was making too many unnecessary transfers, -4, -8, minus this, minus that. So I'm definitely not doing that this season. I'm just picking my players and no unnecessary transfers. And if the whole world is following Son, I'm following Son. Simple.
Okay, first, if you are listening to me, I want you to pull your ear and repeat after me. Double game week is a scam. Double game week is a scam. You see? You tend to save your wild card or your free hit and all those things for double game week. Then you sell your premium players for a player that is going to play double game week. Then you see KDB scoring 4 goals. Double game week is a scam.
I feel you.
I mean, I was going to say something similar, but not as eloquently as my friend right here. No, mine was going for, because usually I go form over fixture. If a player is hot, follow him till he's not hot anymore. But I was following, and that showed itself mostly double game week. My guy has 2 games. He must do well. 1 point in 1 game, 0 points in the next game. So yeah, that form always over fixture. And there's one little advice I have which coincides into this. Plan your captainship a few weeks in ahead. Look at the people who are good, who you think they're good. Think of where you're going to put them. Don't be overly tight, be a bit flexible, but have it in your mind so that you don't get bamboozled by, Weghorst has 2 games. KDB scored more points in one half than Weghorst did in the 2 games. But so that's it.
Wow.
For me, definitely, like Cynthia said, unnecessary transfers. You know, you think that -4 is going to give you 12 points. You get do -4, bring in 2 players. They don't start one, and then they get red card in the second one. You know, and then also, you know, don't procrastinate. Right? You see a guy has scored game week 1, game week 2, game week 3, and like, to soon stop. Game week 4, game week 5, and then by the time you join the game week 6, you know, the guy, everybody that had him has enjoyed, but you that not join the game week 6, that's when his downfall starts. So if you're going to get on the player, trust your gut and get on the player, and stop waiting to see what happens.
Wow.
I think for me, it's so I love differentials a lot. I can have like 2 or 3 differentials on my team. So I think I need to reduce the number of differentials I have. I think that's my major regret from last season. Aside that, I think there was a time I had what was his name? Is it Adam or something? Because of double game week, I was just keeping him. I had him for like 5 or 6 games. He just kept on giving me 2 points and stuff like that. 1, 2, and I mean, yeah, I think so yeah, that's it for me. I just need to reduce the number of differentials I pick in my team. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, interesting. I didn't make too many mistakes because last was my best season ever. My own, I think there are 2 things. One is, don't forget to follow the best people. Follow them bumper to bumper. That's a mistake I didn't do on time. But by the time I started following what they were doing and picking the few things that I had to tweak it, was not bad. So I think that was just one. The second one was just basically, I think at the point I didn't have Son or Kane. One of them, you have to have at least one just to cover up. Okay, so I think the next question coming from members of the audience who are streaming. Okay, so the next question is, to buy Mitrovic or not?
I think at the point this is a world, we would all have Mitrovic in our team. I'm very sure. I'm sure about that. So I think you don't need to buy him now, but when he starts scoring, I think you should buy Mitrovic. Yeah. So yeah, Mitrovic, I think it's 6.0, 6.5. Yeah, I think at the point in the season, we will all have Mitrovic in our team. So yeah.
Mitrovic will start scoring in 2023-2024 season of the championship. A big nut.
I'm going to go against that. I support him. I believe that at that point, because 3-4-3 is usually my formation, but 3-5-2 seems to be the way we're going. When I do 3-4-3, which will happen at some point this season, is Mitrovic I'll have, because apart from his history of coming to the Premier League and not doing well, his last season in the Championship was a fantastic record-breaking 40-something goals, 42 goals. And I believe that we have to remember that he was younger. Those times he was coming, he was much younger and all that. I think he's almost at his peak, going to the World Cup and all that. I have a bit of faith in Mitrovic. Me and you together, we're behind Mitrovic.
Fulham's first game is against Liverpool. Mitrovic is starting in my team.
Oh!
The bold and the beautiful.
I'm definitely not getting Mitrovic now, but eventually I may get him. It's a possibility. Why? Because Fulham, they score a shitload of goals. They score a lot of goals, and one of those, like most of in Championship, yes, but most of those goals usually come through Mitrovic, one way or the other. He always has a contribution to it, whether it's an assist or something. So I really like Mitrovic, but maybe not now. Like forward thinking, I make it Mitrovic.
So Mitrovic is the kind of guy that once he bangs in the goal, they all rush. Once it dries up, you're afraid not to sell. Do I sell? Do I not sell? That kind of thing. Well, that's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to touch one or two teams. One of them is Arsenal. I mean, they beat my team 4-0. I cannot even look at the news. I cannot go on Twitter. The bans were too much. If you're going to pick 3 players to watch this season in Arsenal, who would they be? 3 players to watch in Arsenal.
There is Jesus, there is Saka, and for me personally, I really like Ramsdale. So I'm never leaving Ramsdale's side. That's all. 3 of them.
I hope
Saka, Ramsdale, and Jesus.
Gabriel Jesus. I think Martinelli will have his best season, a fantastic season this season. It won't be Arsenal's top point scorer, but I think we'll have a fantastic season. Then the third will be Bukayo Saka.
Towards the end of the season, the point where you have double game weeks and you have your chips, are you the kind of person that would wait till the last 5 game weeks or 6 game weeks to deploy those chips to actually catch up on the rank or leave your pairs? So the question is, what strategies do you like to deploy in terms of finishing strong in view of the double game weeks?
Well, for me, the only chip I use towards the end of the season is my bench boost. I'm going to use every other chip beforehand. My triple captain, contrary to what he said, will come in during a double game week. But I'm definitely going to wait towards the end of the season to use my bench boost. It's just, I don't know. It never, has a 70% success rate, but when it doesn't end well, then it's one of those things. But I'm definitely going to wait till the end before I use my bench boost.
I hope you use it on Salah when it's fasting.
Okay, like I said earlier, double game week is a scam. Do not use your wild card to take out your premium or informed players. See, they are premium players for a reason. They are premium players because Salah has the ability and the capacity to score an hat-trick against Man City. That's why he's a premium player. Do not use your wild card to take out premium players because of double game week. For me, my strategy, obviously, we all say this in every season. Double game week is a scam. We say it every season. But I will say, for me, even if I'm going to use my wild card for a double game week, my premium players will remain in the team regardless of their fixtures, except they don't have any fixture or they are injured. I would use the wild card to bring in maybe other players, other enabling players to rotate themselves, but my premium players will remain. Guys, I took our KDB last season and he scored 4 goals. Double game week is a scam.
Okay, because we're in many groups together. So I think, to be fair, what he's saying is that don't let double game week make you do something stupid. Because double game week is fantastic if it works. For example, the double game week he's talking about, was it not in the same double game week that KDB scored 4 goals? The problem is that you removed him for a Vegas or an Emmanuel Dennis or one of the Burnley people that had 2 game weeks. So about the double game week thing, yes, double game weeks are fantastic with chips. If you manage to have Mohamed Salah or a KDB or a Kane playing twice in a game week, please save your triple captain for then. Or those are the examples. So yes, double game weeks are fantastic for that. But I agree with him. Double game week is a scam in the sense that an average player, with all due respect to every Premier League footballer, is world class, is top of the class, is a good footballer and all that. But an average player with 2 games is worse than a premium player with 1 game. That is his point of double game week. If Salah has 1 game, keep him. Don't remove him for. I don't want to call him. I don't know if someone is watching here. Somebody might be watching and say I called him an average player. Sorry, please.
Guys, I brought in World Cross for double game week. The guy did not score. He did not even assist. And I took out KDB.
I had him too. I remember.
World Cross. He said World Cross for set pieces.
For the final weeks of the season, definitely, I'm not the guy who uses the chips early. Especially triple captain, definitely in the double game week. I'll never triple cap in a single game week. Bench boost, agreed, towards the end of the season. Free hits has never worked for me. Every free hit I've ever played was a dud. 12 points, 17 points, and you're like, if I kept my original team, 82, So yes, I'll save it towards the end of the season, at least after January. But yeah, that's mine.
For me, I think that you need to save your chips for the double game weeks. Actually, I'm not of the opinion that double game weeks are scams. Because I can never captain a single game week player when I have someone playing double game week. It cannot happen. Because you still have another chance. There's still one more match for the guy to play, and you're still expectant. Other than you having the Salah and you're just played and give you like 3 points and there's nothing to expect again. Your game week is done, but there's still that factor from the double game week player. So yeah, I would always captain a double game week player, and I think it's very important that you also save your chips for the later stages in the season. Your triple captain, your bench, even your wild card, your second wild card. You can actually play it later in the season just to target those fixtures late in the game.
Okay, there's an interesting question I have. What player don't you have in your present squad at the moment? Or you're afraid that if you don't have this guy and he goes to score, you'll be in trouble? You're finding this guy difficult to put him in your present squad. I'll give you an example. This guy I love so much. The last season he was there for most of my. That's why I finished my best ever top 20k. The guy is Bowen. I love Bowen so much. So, but what player don't you have in your squad that you feel like if this guy scores goals and I don't have him, I might be in trouble?
Mine is very simple. Cyn. I just can't find a way to put Cyn in my team.
Wow.
And I just have a feeling that I'm going to regret it. But, it's... Last season, I kept saying I'll put in Son. I was waiting. I just, anytime I want to bring in Son, I have to sell 2 players. I'm thinking it's not worth it. The 2 players I don't sell 4 points. Son, 12. I was 18. 19. I ended up bringing him like game week 36, but by then it was too late. But so Cyn, those 2 Tottenham guys, I don't know how to bring them to my team, and I feel that I'm going to regret it. But let's see.
You're going to regret it.
The player that is pure FOMO, Gabriel Jesus. He's not in my team. I don't have any plans to have him in my team. But that nagging, he's the highest picked player. So I'm like, hey, if this guy pops, if he left behind, I'll be left behind. But because I'm planning to have 2 forwards. Currently it's 2 premiums. he's not one of them. Do you understand? So that's my problem currently. So am I going back to my 3-4-3, whatever? So currently I don't have him. I don't think I'm going to get him, but the fear when he pops against Crystal Palace that Friday night. Is this Friday? Is it? Hey! I might cry real tears, thug tears.
In fact, I don't lie, I'm hoping he gets injured.
Okay, for me, I don't have Hurricane in my team, and I'm not bothered because I can't spend 12 million on a player that I wouldn't cap. I won't cap a striker, so I'm not bothered about Kane. My main problem is Son. And I already have 3 premium players. I can't, you can't have them all. But I intend to watch Son. If Son looks like he's going to pop, then I'm going to take out KDB and bring in Son. But for now, I'm scared of Son.
Well, for me, it's Haaland. And I think the main reason, aside from rotation, which we are all complaining about, when I was going through my team, I was looking at game week 2. Game week 2 is Haaland versus Bournemouth and Kane versus Chelsea. So I think Bournemouth is a really huge hat-trick potential for Haaland. And so I think Haaland is like the main person. If I don't have him in that second game week, I don't know what will happen, but I'm not willing to. I don't know. But for me, it's just, I don't want to find out. Haaland is like the one player that, because when Pep plays him, even if it's for 40 minutes, that 40 minutes could mean a lot. He could come in and score 2 goals, and I just, hopefully it goes well. I feel like his match tonight will determine a lot of things, so whatever he does tonight will go along.
So I think this one we've answered it before, but we can just re-emphasize. Would the midfield continue to dominate, or are the strikers back to regain their status?
With players like Salah, KDB, Son, and possibly Saka joining them this season, I don't see any striker that can match them, because every midfield goal is more points than the strikers, and midfielders tend to get more assists, tackles that give them most bonus points. So it's going to be difficult for the strikers to match the midfielders.
Yeah, they're quite right, because based on the FPL scoring, it favors the midfielders. They have 2 more opportunities to get more points. If they score a goal, it's an extra point. If their team keeps a clean sheet, it's an extra point. Although I do believe that the top scoring player this year, individual player, will be a forward. I won't say who, so that I don't give it away. I believe you. No, I'm not saying it. Please.
Help us.
Because, okay, it is, I do think it will probably be Hurricane, because this is a World Cup year. Not even a full World Cup season, like 6 months before the World Cup. We all know how Hurricane is. England, it's coming home, all that. I have a bit of quiet confidence in Hurricane.
With regards to Hurricane, there is once the season starts drought, it doesn't really pick up form until, say, 6 game weeks into the season. So
that was pre-Conte. The Conte I know. Hurricane is, I can't remember who they're playing, but it's my first game couple. Hurricane.
Just for the mere fact that the midfielders get more points. I think strikers are coming back this season. I think we're going to see multiple players get 20 league goals and above, because it's really been, will I say, poor in the last couple of years that the strikers are, so I think they're going to be quite a number of 20 league goal scorers this season, but simply because of the extra bonus points, the extra clean sheet points, 5 points versus 4, I think the midfield is still going to dominate strikers.
3 seconds. You tell us what's your target rank at the end of the season. The world is watching, so we can wrap up. Globally.
I always set the target of top 50k overall ranking for myself.
Top 20k, and since this is my last time speaking, I'm just going to say, when in doubt, cap Salah. I will not regret it.
So my highest ever rank was 1,209, but that was 10 years ago, 2012. Obviously, my players have grown older, so have I. So I'm going to target 100k this season because I have other things that I'm doing.
top 10K this season. That's enough for me. Top 10K.
My name is Achike Ofodile. My best finish was 21,000, and that was 2012-2013.